record, god damn it, record. This is Archery vlog number 5? 4, 5? I decided I want to record this because of the thoughts that I had yesterday when I was on the range. It is New Year's Eve, Monday, the 31st of December 2012, the last day of this year. And I was out at the range with my friend Steve, as we tend to do when we're together. And my whole focus at that time was simply just to work on form, making sure I had the appropriate stance, making sure that I'm holding the bow correctly, making sure that I'm pulling the string, knocking the arrow, using my anchor points, the whole nine. And when I started off, that was my whole focus, but the problem is, aiming at a target, I think that if you're going to start doing archery, if you're going to start practicing archery, you should not get a target in terms of like an actual bullseye target. You're going to need somewhere the arrows can go. But you don't want something that actually looks like a target. The reason why this is because it's going to distract you from what you should be focusing on at first, which is simply just making sure that you're doing everything consistently. I know I say the word consistently a lot, but consistency is such an important factor in this process that you need to make sure that what you're doing is the same every time. It's the only way that you can truly start working on targeting and aiming and hitting your target. Otherwise, you can't know which way the arrow is going to fly. And it's amazing how many different things are part of the whole process that can affect the way the arrow flies. Simply by just slightly twisting your hand, with the bow hand, you can send the arrow in a different direction. Pulling the string back, instead of pulling it straight back, you pull it to the side. That can affect the way the arrow flies. And those are things that you really don't notice that you're doing, I was there on the range, and Steve was like, "Oh, let's go do the nature trail." They have these two trails. I think I mentioned it before, where they have targets every so often, and you're walking uphill and downhill and through the woods. It's not a very even thing, so it's a bit of an exercise. It's definitely a hike. And then you get to certain points, and there are targets, and you can fire at them, and then you just move on to the next one until you do all 28, and then you're done. But I said, no, man, I just want to sit here and work on my form. I want to work on the process, because that's the only way that I can do this and not get frustrated. I know I've only been doing archery for about 3 weeks now, but it's still noticeable that my arrows are just going in every fucking direction. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Not because I expect to be fucking, Robin Hood after 3 weeks. The archers take years and years and years of practice. But for me, all I want to do is make sure that the arrows are flying straight and they're flying in the general area of what I'm aiming at. If I was looking at the camera, I wouldn't have to hit the lens. I could hit up, I could hit down, I could hit the camera's surface and I'd be okay. But when I fire and the arrow ends up on the wall over here, which you guys can't see where I'm pointing, but it's far off to the left, and I'm looking right here and the arrow goes that way, you can imagine that's very frustrating to see that happen over and over again. Now, I admit that it's not consistently happening, and once again, there's that consistency word. But it happens enough that it's frustrating for me, and I get angry. And not angry in my typical angry at the world sense, but just why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time? I'm no good at this. And, it's just, it can be really hard to want to stay focused. So when I was there yesterday, I didn't want to aim at targets. I didn't want to see that I wasn't hitting my target. I just wanted to be able to do the practice. And one of the more experienced archers there had made a suggestion about, he is one of the people at the club that runs the outreach program. They have an archery outreach program to get kids involved in archery. It's a positive outlet. And he said, one of the things that we teach the new kids when they're practicing is that we don't want them to aim at targets. We want them to get the form down. So we tell them, they get about 10 feet away from the hay bale, and we have them, take the proper stance, knock the arrow, finger placement, hand placement, draw, and then close your eyes, anchor the arrow, and then just fire. Don't even look at where it's going. You just want to get used to the process of the anchor release, the draw anchor release. You want to make sure that all of that's correct. So Steve and I try to do that, and I was, it's more about not having something to look at when you're doing it, because you're focusing. Since you're not looking at where the arrow's going to go, and as long as you definitely hit the hay bale and not have it go 20,000 miles somewhere else. But as long as you do that, you can focus and pay attention to what you're doing and get the process down. You want it to become second nature. So, we did it about 40 times, I think. I say 40 arrows, I should say, not 40 times. We did it about 40 arrows together. And then we just started aiming and firing. And that's when the frustration came back, because I was only 10 yards away from his target, and I would hit the bullseye once every 10 shots, maybe. And I don't mean dead center, I just mean in the vicinity of the bullseye. and my arrows would keep going to the left, or they would go all over the place, and I started getting frustrated again. So that's the reason why I'm passing this along, is that if you're going to do this, don't use a target. Don't have a target up. Don't use a bullseye. Don't use something where you're going to have to look and see where it hits. Just have a place that the arrows can hit safely, and you can retrieve them safely. You know, hay bale, a bag of, you know, beans, something that the arrow can be fired into, not harm anyone else, and not have you running for 25 miles to find it and pick it up. And that's what you should just do. Save yourself the headache, man. It's tough. You know, Steve's only been doing this a couple more months than I have, but I mean, he can group. His groups are tight. What I mean by grouping, in case you're not familiar, is that if you can imagine 5 sticks, okay, or arrows, shafts. Now imagine that there's one in the bullseye, the dead center of the bullseye. Okay, now, every other arrow is within, let's say, a quarter of an inch or half an inch from that. So you got a tight cluster of arrows all in one spot. That's a group. The tighter you're grouping, the more accurate you're firing, the more accurate your archery is. And he can group pretty well. Not me, man. I'm like, if his is like this, mine are like this. You know, it's just all over the place. My group is out here where his is here. And so it's very frustrating because he's only a couple months more experienced than me. And I mean, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like much, but in my mind it's like, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but in my mind it doesn't, you know. And it's frustrating. I just want to know what it is that I'm doing wrong. Why can't I aim better? Why can't I target better? Why can't I group better? You know, this is just very repetitively frustrating for me. So I don't want anybody else out there to deal with that. So that's why I'm making that suggestion. Just when you start off, you know, just get the bow, get your arrows, get your arm guard, get your tab or your glove. Make sure that you have the proper stance. Watch the first video in the series. You want to have a shoulder length, even stance. You want your foot so that it's facing the same way that the target is. So it's like parallel with each other. You want to have a shoulder width stance. You want to keep your back straight. You want to have square shoulders, and then, you know, holding the arrow with whatever hand, if you're right or left-handed. Draw back cleanly, no jerking, just a click, you know, a very smooth draw. Anchor your hand, aim, release. Always remember the full release. It's important because it removes any sort of effect that your hand can have on the string after you let go. You want to pull your hand away from the string, and you want to do it straight. You don't want to pull it out here. You don't want to pull it out this way. You don't want your hand up here. You want your hand to go straight back. Straight back. That's what you want to do. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Just wanted to throw that in there, let you guys know exactly what was going on with me, the frustration that I'm dealing with right now. I'm still way too new at this, and I have too many people around me that have been doing it long enough to make me look really bad. And I'm not looking to be Mr. Bullseye every time. I just want to be able to look and fire the arrow at what I'm looking at. That's what I want to do. I want it to go where I'm looking. On a side note, that has nothing to do with archery, even though this is an archery vlog, but it's still a vlog. A friend of mine from a couple of years ago has come back into my life. Lucky me. We parted on sort of negative terms. And after about a month ago, I saw a message in my box from one of the other websites that I'm on, which was a friend request from them, which let me know that they were ready to talk again. And then I sent them an email, and we've been exchanging back and forth. And it's just really cool because this is somebody that I really enjoyed talking to, and I felt we had a good connection. And it's a shame to see that. It was a real shame to see that connection disappear. But now that we're talking again, then that's a good thing. It means that that we can reconnect and hopefully reestablish that friendship. You know, things are different in their life, things are different in my life. They have some things going on in their life that's definitely different than it was when we were talking, and that's okay. That's just the way it is. But it's still good to have her back and have the opportunity to speak with her again after so long. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to say that, please, if you are doing archery or you're partaking of archery, be patient with yourself. Put the ego aside. You're not going to be good at first. Just accept that. Just accept it. Like anything that it takes time to develop, you're going to suck at first, but you got to be willing to stick with it, and you got to do the basics. Get the basics down. I can't stress that enough. I'm saying it just as much for myself as I am for you. Alright, well, this is RavenLaughs with his Archer vlog number, whatever the hell it was. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll talk to you soon.